Morning everyone, welcome to today's Māori and Pasifika Super Fair. My name's Taylor, I'm from Prosper, but I'll just set a quick agenda for everyone who's on the call or at the meeting already. We'll start off with a 40-minute panel session from our awesome panelists in front of us here, and then we will have a series of 18 to 20-minute employee presentations throughout the day. I'd like to welcome Safara from TupuToa though, so I might throw to yourself, Safara, to do a bit of a karakia and an introduction. Over to you.
Ooh. Tēnā koe, Taylor, thank you. Kia ora everyone. Before we begin, as Māori Pacific, we like to open our spaces with a karakia. So let's begin. Kia noi tātou. Manawa mai te Māori nuku, manawa mai te Māori rangi, ko te Māori keo, he Māori tipua, ka pakuru mai te pō, tau mai te Māori, haumi e, hui e, tāiki e.
Tāiki e.
So, malola sufo mawa male langi mama, talohani, and kia ora koutou katoa. So my name is Safara, as Taylor mentioned, and I'm a navigator at TupuToa. At TupuToa, we're in the business of leadership and development with a focus on Māori and Pacific. And so we offer internships, grad and recruitment opportunities, career development and digital upskill courses as well. So before I joined TupuToa, I actually came from the public sector. So I worked at Archives New Zealand for about a year, but I also started my career journey with the public service straight out of university. So I started at in service delivery and operations at the Department of Internal Affairs in Wellington, but then that took me overseas. That took me to the New Zealand Passport Office in London. So on a personal level, I'm a firm believer that a career in the public service is super rewarding, and it provides some amazing opportunities. So it's my privilege to be part of this government and public service session today. For our audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to type it into the chat box. And I'll ask them to our panel. If you do have a question for a particular panelist as well, please feel free, let me know who that's directed to, and I'll make sure I ask that panelist. Anyway, it's enough about me. We're here to listen to some people representing some awesome government agencies and various branches of government and public services. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our panelists today. So representing Treasury, Auckland Transport, Stats New Zealand. And so perhaps we'll just go around the room. So I'll just go in that order. So maybe we'll start with Kara. If you could please just introduce yourself and describe what your organisation does.
Tēnā koe Safara, tēnā tātou katoa. No te pai rāwhiti tēnei manu, no Ngāti Porou, no Ngāitai, no Tāroa Huki. No te whānau hauia, tēnā koutou, ko Kara ne Piaputi tōku ingoa, he kaimahi tēnei ki Te Tai Ōhanga. My name is Kara. I work at the New Zealand Treasury. I'm a manager of the Te Ao Māori Strategy and Policy team. And at the Treasury, you know, we are the government's lead advisor on economic and fiscal matters. You know, we make assessments on what works, value for money, and with that vision of lifting living standards for New Zealanders now, future generations too. And we are one of 3 central agencies jointly responsible for providing leadership, coordination, and monitoring across the entire public sector. So, tēnā koutou.
Tēnā koe, Kara. We'll head over to Linda at Auckland Transport.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Linda McIntosh tuku ingoa, no ototahi ahau e mahi anu ahau People Experience Lead, ki Auckland Transport. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Talofa lava, malo e lele, kia orana. Hi everyone, I'm Linda, and I am a People Experience Lead at Auckland Transport. So I have a wonderful job. I obviously look after all of the talent area of Auckland Transport, which includes our graduate program, Ngā Kaihoi, which I'm really excited to share with you. So who is Auckland Transport? It's so much more than most of you would ever imagine. So we, in a nutshell, we're responsible for all of Tamaki Makoto's transport services, roads, footpaths, cycling, parking, public transport, and modal shifts. So trying to get people moving freely throughout Tamaki Makaurau. We are building a system for the future, and that's a really, really big job. So we need a lot of diverse and fresh thinking and great talent in the organisation. We manage about $2 billion worth of transport-related assets. And yeah, so we're just so much more than transport and engineering though. So I'm really excited to share that with you today in terms of the breadth of opportunity and experience and exposure that you can get if you decided that Auckland Transport was connected to your values and what you wanted to do. Thanks, everyone.
Tēnā koe, Linda. I have to say I'm really enjoying the half price. I can see that the half price public transport. It's amazing. I'm loving it at the moment.
And it's continuing, which is awesome. So make the most of it, everyone.
We'll head over to Levi at Stats NZ. Kia ora, Levi.
Kia ora e tiwi, kia ora. Ko Levi Hami Chan tōku ingoa, no te arawa ko Ngāti Whakaue me tūhaurangi Ngāti Wāhia o ngā iwi ngā hapu, ko Pukaki te koromatua. Kia ora everyone, my name is Levi Chan. I work for Tatauranga Aotearoa. My role is predominantly in the P&C team, a part of the recruitment and talent acquisition team. My primary focus at the moment is Māori capability, early and career pathways, insights and statistics, and method and design. So I look after all of those portfolios at the moment, and it's big mahi. But in a nutshell, what does Stats New Zealand do? We are like the official data agency for Aotearoa. So this means we collect the information from people and organisations through surveys, the census, you would have heard about that coming up next year. So the information just a quick background, the information we use is to publish insights and data about New Zealand for New Zealanders. So we have about 1,500 staff across New Zealand, you know, starting from survey collectors on the field, getting all the info, doing the hard yards, to us here in 3 locations in Auckland, Wellington and Ōtautahi. So kia ora.
Malo Levi, thank you. Aroha mai, we've actually got a fourth panelist joining us, and we have Alita Ho, who is, I believe, from Analytics and Research and Government. You may want to correct me if I'm wrong, but Alita, if you could please introduce yourself and what your organisation does. Oh, you're just on mute there, Alita.
Kia ora koutou, ko mā tātua te waka, ko kākano i te manga, ko te whānau apano i te iwi, ko te kaitohu hāpai o mā tāmoa o te tari o te tumoaki tuatoru, te ponomohiatanga, te pai aronoi, I te tahu o te mātaranga, ko Alita Ho taku ingoa. Kia ora, I am a senior business advisor that works at the Ministry of Education. I will be talking about not only my agency, but more importantly, the Analytics and Research and Government Internship program that is led by the Ministry of Social Development. So I do a lot of recruitment and procurement of services within my role as a senior business advisor, but I am also what they call the whaia or the buddy for all of our interns that come in through our internship program or TupuToa. You know, because we lead kaupapa Māori, so we make sure that we look after our whānau, our rangatahi, and ensure that their haurewa and well-being is upheld. So kia ora koutou.
Ngā mihi nui, whai Alita, thank you. So the next question I'm going to ask is, I want to pose it to all of our panelists, but perhaps we'll go the other way around and we'll start with Alita. So what is the most important piece of advice you'd give students aspiring to work for any organisation within the public sector?
Oh, okay. So I have been in the public sector at the Ministry of Education for over 17 years, different groups, different positions. Kara, lovely to see you e hoa. So my best advice that I would give to students would be to bring your whole self, to not be shy, to question everything, because, you know, this is the opportunity. We are one of 36 agencies within the public service sector. That is government. We provide advice to our ministers directly. And for the Ministry of Education, we work to provide services and support nationally and regionally and locally to our education sector, and in some cases directly to our akonga and whānau. So again, I would say bring your whakapapa, bring your whole self to whichever organisation you are going to be going into. As far as I'm concerned, our agencies are very lucky to have as many Māori and Pacific in our whānau agencies. There's not enough of us around. So that will be the best advice that I could bring to our students. Kia ora.
Love that advice. Kia ora. That's yeah, fantastic advice, and that's something we definitely push, you know, at TupuToa as well. But I'll ask the same question to Levi. What would be your advice?
I took everything that Alita just said. So she said most of it, but you know, working in the public service means, you know, we're committed to the goals of the New Zealand government. So this includes, you know, just being a good public servant, being a good person, understanding the commitment to te tiriti. You know, that's a big thing for when you're coming in here. You need to have that at the forefront of your thinking. So if I could give you a good piece of advice is learn, or if you're at uni, take those treaty papers.
Great advice, thank you. And Linda, do you have anything to add? Any advice?
Yeah, there's definitely a common thread here. So I reflect at Auckland Transport, what's really important to us is that the people that work for us reflect the community and reflect tamaki makaurau and the future tamaki makaurau that we're trying to create. So don't be shy to be and bring all your fresh ideas and your thinking. We have what we call a growth mindset at Auckland Transport. And our emerging talent and our graduates, we call it reverse mentoring. There's learning going both ways for us, and some of the fresh ideas and thinking and the diverse ways of thinking and cultures means that we're creating an Auckland Transport for the future that obviously everyone needs to travel safely. So yeah, bring your passion and bring your energy. That's what's really important for us. Most people join us because they want to do worthwhile and meaningful work and leave a legacy, leave a future for future generations. So yeah, that's what I would add. Thanks, Sofara.
Thanks, Linda. Cara, do you have any advice?
Oh man, those were all fantastic, and they must have been reading my little notepad down inside here. I totally agree, and I think the best piece of advice that maybe I was given before I came into the public service was, you know, pretty much what Alita said was, know what you stand for, be confident, work hard, back your opinion, be part of the wider network, grow those connections. Our ancestors dreamed of us, of you, and you know, it's our turn now. We're the rangatira of today. Let your voice be heard. Bring a skill and a lens that not many other people have in the public service. There's not many of us here. And so you, in essence, your goal and let your voice be heard is really the thing I want to encourage. You bring something to this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to tautoko what all of our panelists have said. You know, I think we've come a long way even within a generation in terms of the opportunities for our Māori and Pasifika in the in the government space. So yeah, thank you. Just a reminder to all of our audience, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat box. But I'll move on to our next question. So perhaps I'll go back to Alita. So what is your organization looking for in an application, and what do students need to progress to the next round?
unmute. Sorry, had to find my unmute button. So, kia ora. When I review, so I do a lot of recruitment, and I review every single document that comes through, whether it's through this internship program or whether it's through the normal recruitment process. So what I look for is, of course, your work experience, your education, your qualifications, but more importantly for me, I look for that extra. So, you know, what I'm looking for in your cover letter or within your application is something that showcases you, your values, your whakapapa, your interest and both motivations for why you're applying for that role or that internship program, and what abilities, strengths, and personal attributes that you can bring with your diverse perspective. Whether you're a graduate student or whether you've been in different agencies and you're coming from private to public, I found that for Māori, that we tend to look for that extra. We look for the person because, as I said before, we bring our whole selves to our mahi, not just our education and our qualifications and work experience. So that's what I would say is that, again, bring yourself, but showcase you, your interests, because those are the extra things which our agencies are looking for, in that, will this person fit? That would actually make me want to consider, yes, actually, I would like to speak with this person and to shortlist you to being interviewed. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Yeah, and I think just to add to what you're saying, Alita, you know, a lot of our people, we tend to do extracurricular things that we don't consider putting in our CV. You know, we do you know, church groups and sports teams and voluntary things. So, you know, I think that's important to highlight as well. Yeah. Awesome. We are getting a few questions in the chat box. I'll just kind of break those down, but I'll just ask, perhaps Levi, do you want to maybe talk about what your organisation looks for in an application as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So as an organisation, we value diversity in culture and different life experiences. So, you know, we want to see that in your cover letters. We want you to be creative. We don't want you just to be the whole cliche, you know, I'm this, I'm that. You know, we want to know if you do kapaka, you know, if you're in the marae cooking with your nannies and, you know, making the bread. You know, we want to know all of that stuff. We want to know what you're passionate about. As a recruiter and in talent acquisition and all that, we find it every day that, you know, you're getting the same old cover letters that you've just generated in a Word document. So yeah, my best advice would be, show some personality, bring your full self, like Alita said, and just show us what you're passionate about.
Thank you. Awesome advice. So Linda, there's a question in here, I think, from Auckland Transport. Yes, I'm just trying to break that down. But would you like to add anything? It's actually
my colleague, Henry, who would have been great if he was here chatting with me, so he can add so much value, probably more than I can. So it's a shame you can't see him, but he's talking to the fact that the connection to our values is incredibly important. We co-designed our values with our people, and that's what drives our culture. So everything that Alita and Levi have said, you know, show your personality, put a little bit of investment in your application and actually tell us who you are. We've actually removed grade point averages from our selection process at Auckland Transport for that very reason. You're not all about your grades, and actually your degree, you know, there's so many opportunities. It's not about a specific degree for a specific role at Auckland Transport either. So it's about bringing your diversity, as has already been said, bringing fresh thinking and ideas, being confident to make a difference, and that connection to AT's purpose and our vision and our values. And our values are manaakitanga, oahatanga, whanaungatanga and tiakitanga. So they mean an awful lot to us. We live and breathe our values here at Auckland Transport.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. Cara, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in an application, we in particular really want to know the way you think. We want to know how you solve problems. We want to be able to see how you approach different situations. That's gold for us, the way in which we can see how you think and hear how you think, feel how you think. And then the other side is the EQ, the people skills, that what Levi and the team were saying around, you know, your connection to people, your compassion, your empathy, your respectfulness in what you do, that all counts too. So there's the IQ, the EQ, then I'm going to add the CQ, that cultural aspect of it. Weaving all of that together is really just telling who you are. But for us in particular, how you think and how you look after people and how you hold yourself is a big thing for us too.
Awesome, thank you, Cara. So a question that's quite common across the chat boxes is to do with location. So it might not be quite applicable to Linda, but are there any opportunities outside of Auckland or within the regions at your student agency? So for example, Whakatane, Tokoroa, Taupo, Hamilton, are there any opportunities to work for your agency? So yeah, we'll go, Alisa, you want to go first?
Me?
Just because you unmuted yourself.
Ka pai. I thought just in case he goes me, and then I was me. Okay, kia ora. So for the Ministry of Education, we have many local district regional offices across the country. We have the highest density of staff at the Ministry of Education at National Office in the Wellington CBD across 4 buildings. So yes, there are opportunities. For the internship program, Analytics, Research and Government internship program, we have 13 agencies involved in this internship. We also have a graduate program. So the internship is like a 12-week summer internship program, and then the graduate is for 12 months. So within those 13 agencies, which many of them are part of the public service sector, there are opportunities to also work off-site. So our agency is very big on, and also the program, on flexible working arrangements. So last year for our internship program, we had a lot of interns from Ōtautahi, from Waikato. So historically, they'd all come to Wellington, but we found with COVID and everything, we had to work smarter, not harder. And it's about being deliberate and making sure that although we can't kanohi ki te kanohi, be face-to-face, that we use the technology that we have to hand to, you know, have social events, whether it's quizzes online or drinks or lunches, or just that, you know, that time set aside for our interns and for our people to kōrero. So, kia ora.
Awesome. Yeah, do you want to jump in there, Cara? What's it like at Treasury?
Treasury, number one, the terrace team. We have a really close relationship with Parliament, so we really are quite centred around the terrace. We do work from home, and particularly for the grads and interns, we like to keep them close to Parliament. But for more of the senior roles, there's like flexible working arrangements where they might travel and do 2 days here and 2 days there. But yeah, COVID's definitely changed our role, and there's a lot more people working from where they are. But in particular for the grads and interns, we try to keep them close to Parliament.
Awesome, thank you. Levi, how about stats, NZ?
We're exactly the same as Treasury and all that. We're very much hybrid. So, you know, you work in the office one day, you might work at home. There's no actual policies, but you know, it's up to you how you're feeling on the day, really. With our grads, they have the same opportunities as us as full-time staff, so they're hybrid. But you know, projects and whatnot, we like to kind of keep them within the team, and yeah, I think.
Thank you. So I guess, Linda, at AT, are there any opportunities to be working from home? or doing an internship from home?
Absolutely, Safara. We obviously our last cohort applied, onboarded, and for the first quarter, we're all working remotely with Auckland Transport. And I actually live in Ōtautahi. I used to live in Tamaki Makaurau. So there's definitely amazing hybrid opportunities. What I would say though, the reality is when you're in our 18-month graduate program, most of our grads want to be in the office, listening to, learning, soaking up all of the opportunity, the visibility. That's where you get that gold. And obviously we're Auckland Transport, so we are representing Auckland. So absolutely fantastic hybrid working and flex working, but predominantly based out of Auckland when you're in the program. And then obviously as you move through the organisation, the world is your oyster.
Absolutely. That's my bad. Aroha mai, Linda, for assuming that Auckland Transport meant you had to be in Auckland. Levi, we've got a question from the audience. They want to know, is Stats NZ a government agency in the data/analytics sector?
Absolutely. So we are the leading data agency for the government. So the chief statistician, he advises the Prime Minister ultimately. So yeah, so everything that we do is that we collect, it goes all straight to Parliament, and yeah, so ministers will also request data, for their student portfolios and whatnot. So yeah, we're the main. Hopefully that answered your question.
Awesome. Hopefully it did. I'm sure it did. So this next question, perhaps we'll go to Alita again. So for students who land a job with you, what advice would you give them to survive and thrive in their first year of being in the job? And what shouldn't they do?
Oh, great question. What I've always found, and I always use kaupapa Māori because kia ora Māori, which is, what's good for Māori is good for all. Yeah, and our Pacific whānau as well. So the most important thing is how we mihi our people, whether they're our students, from the day they land in their first day in the office, that we make sure that we welcome them properly, that they are brought into the space, that they are welcome, taken around, they're given someone to be a mentor in the first 6-12 months, that there's an actual plan and framework in place. If you are Māori or Pacific and you want a formal whakatau, mihi whakatau, you want to be welcomed properly, you have that right to ask for it. You have that right. So if you are coming into an organisation, ask the questions prior to you actually coming in. When will someone meet you? And you shouldn't actually have to ask, but sometimes we are dealing with people, so a little bit, forgetful at times. So yes, from the time our people land, my advice to our students is ask if you don't know. No question is a dumb question. Find out who's meeting you. Do you have a buddy? Do you have a mentor? Is there a plan in place for the first week as part of your induction, the first 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Because if you have a plan in place, then it means that, from my perspective, you are valued, you are recognised, and from the time you start your day one and you are welcomed into the agency by someone, whether it's electronic or not, but by someone, that you are being taken care of. And that is most important for our Māori Pacific, is to feel recognised, valued, and ensure, again, that our hauora and ba is our payout. Kia ora.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alita. Would any of our panelists like to add to the kōrero?
I'd love to, thank you.
All yours, Linda.
I think what's really important to succeed is to believe in yourself, back yourself, and grab every opportunity that you can. Don't say no to opportunity. I think the graduates and love for you to connect with some of our graduates later on down the track if you've got further questions, but they will say, you know, the opportunity is limitless, and if you grab every opportunity, you'll shine. What not to do? Just don't compare yourself to others. This is your journey, your career, and yeah, and just let yourself shine and thrive, essentially.
Yeah. And also have the confidence and understanding that you bring value to the team. No matter how many workers, it all contributes to the bigger picture.
I think naturally in us is making connections. Like as soon as we go on, like we did here, is, you know, what's your name? How do you say it? Where are you from? Making connections in your workplace, getting to know people, know who to go to for help is probably the best thing on survival, I think, and thriving is exactly what everyone said around asking questions. But what not to do is to isolate yourself. Don't do that. We're here for the same reasons, and we're all here to do a good job together. So we're here to help no matter where you are. So make those connections.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I just wanted to quickly add, you know, if there are those Māori and Pacific networks and agencies, like definitely join them. You know, they're there to support you. Eh? Awesome. This next
so
question.
Farah, can I just add?
Yeah, please.
So I didn't mention, but we have great connect groups here at Auckland Transport for that very reason as well. So we have an AT Pasifika network, and it's an awesome group of amazing people that you can tap into, and they will tell you, you know, what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and it's growing and it's really supportive and inclusive. We've got Manaka Māori, which is another diversity and cultural group, but there's a huge range of connect and cultural and diversity groups within Auckland Transport. So if you connect with one of those groups, they will wrap you up also, as will the wider team, but it's just that added layer of support and connection.
Thanks, Linda. So I guess this kind of brings in all of our kōrero, but in 3 words, I'll ask each of our panelists, could you describe your organization's team culture? So perhaps we'll go with, should we start with Kara? So 3 words.
You could see me. You could see me pondering. I was
like, she's got it already.
I do now. 3 words. If you come to the Treasury, this is the wharenui in the background, which we have in the Treasury. Not many agencies have a wharenui. We have one. You can see the beehive right behind me as well. There's a potiaki called, a director called Trevor Moike, and he is like Yoda. He is wisdom in one person, and he always goes on tika, pono, and aroha. If what we do isn't right, we shouldn't be doing it. What we do is honest. That's definitely what the Treasury is about, being honest. And if we have to, we have to do it with love. We're always trying to do better for our people. So tika, pono, aroha, come to the Treasury.
Nice, thank you. Levi, what are your 3 words?
Okay. My 3 words. So mahitahi, we work as one unit. Whanaungatanga, we are one big whānau, and collaborative. So all ideas are good ideas until told otherwise.
Awesome. So I realized that I've really thrown you on the spot to come up with the 3 words, but yeah, whatever comes to mind. Linda?
I'm just going to go against the grade and say, can I have 4, please, Sofara? They're our values, and our culture is, you know, encompassed by our values. So oahatanga, so we're better, we're bolder together being the key word. Whanaungatanga, so we connect with each other. manaakitanga, which is we care, you know, we really genuinely, authentically care, and tiakitanga. So that's safe with us. That's not just on the streets of Auckland, which is incredibly important to us, but that's your personal psychological safety at Auckland Transport as well. So those are my 4 words.
Oh, you're lucky they were good words, Linda. Elisa, what are your words?
I'm going to stick with the kaupapa theme. So ours would be whanaungatanga. So we're here for a shared purpose and a sense of belonging. Kaitiaki, kaitiakitanga, looking after our relationships. And I would say aroha, care and concern for others and each other.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm just checking to see if there are any other questions, but perhaps this might be one of our final questions, but we'll go around the room again. But what career development opportunities does your organization provide? So if you're ready to answer, feel free to unmute and then we'll go from there. Kia ora, Levi.
Cool. So we're constantly finding current employees new opportunities to develop, you know, and hone in on these skill sets. But you know, as people in culture, we have the ability as an organisation to provide ongoing training and courses for all of our staff. So we have different things like Toastmasters, kapahaka, te reo lessons with like elite tutors from Te Panikiretanga, you know, and not many organisations get that, you know, from Pānia Papa. You know, it's just like, wow. So, you know, the opportunities at Stats is endless, really. Like everyone said, you just put your hand up for everything. Don't say no, and just take everything in your stride. Because I tell you, once it's in your kite, it's there forever.
100%. Thank you. I think I saw. Was it Linda? Did you unmute next? Yeah.
I did. So the graduate or the Ngā Kaihui program at Auckland Transport is the whole design of it, which we collaborated and redesigned with our current grads and leaders, is wrapped around learning. So we've got actually it's an amazing learning framework, and it comprises some core learning, which you'll get earlier on in the piece. And then you design your learning journey alongside your leaders and the team at Auckland Transport so that it fits in with, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And Auckland Transport is really broad and diverse in terms of opportunity. So you'll gain exposure and then think, I actually really like that, and I had no idea about that. So then your learning will obviously be designed to get you to the goals that you want to achieve. So we're a learning culture, and it's one of the things that I'm really passionate about and really proud of at Auckland Transport. The learning, I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for 20 minutes on that, but yeah, the learning and development opportunities in terms of a learning framework are huge. And then I guess we're not just engineering, we're not just transport, we're not just construction. So you've got finance, you've got legal, risk and governance, you've got IT, there's obviously HR, culture and transformation, marketing. I mean, again, I could go on safety. There's just so many opportunities for learning and expanding, as Levi said, your kiti of knowledge, which is amazing.
Kia ora. Can I add, at the Treasury, I feel like we're pitching here, but at the Treasury, we have the grad program that is 18 months long, and it is course filled. Like, you are constantly having in front of you different things to learn in the best way with a lot of people across the agency, and you're also with this cohort of grads, so you learn together. And honestly, if you talk to anyone in the Treasury about the graduate cohort, it's like a whānau, and you roll together forever, no matter where you are, where you go afterwards as well. I think in my own journey, Treasury has a learning environment. I came in as a senior, I went off and did other things. I came back as a principal, and now I'm a manager. They are very invested in growing their people. So as soon as you get in, there's a plan around where do you want to go, where do you see yourself, and they are very good at making sure that they've got something to help you along there. So there's things there, and a lot of opportunity to do cross-team transdisciplinary stuff as well. So very encouraging of our young analysts to give things a go to.
Thanks, Cara. Alita, did you want to say anything?
Yes. Kia ora. For our agency, MOE, and also for the ARG, the Analytics and Research and Government Internship Program, our agencies have common opportunities. Those are not only within our agencies, so that gives you an opportunity to apply for another role for a certain amount of time, whether it's in another team, whether it's a senior position, or across agencies, across our sector in another agency. So for example, one of my mates is now working in social wellbeing agency. So he's on secondment there as a deputy chief, DCE officer, Deputy Chief Officer in the Social Wellbeing Agency, and he's been there for 6 months, loving the mahi in there. We have acting opportunities which are more short term than secondment, so again, that's an opportunity for you to step into a more senior position. We have mentoring, we have shadowing. So mentoring is where you can mentor someone else. And depending on where you want to go, if you're wanting to go into a manager position, you can have as part of your progress and development plan, which is where you can put all this information of where you want to go. So you want to mentor, you want to be a people leader, a manager. You can put in there which areas of interest you are in. So I came to the ministry as a personal assistant to 2 senior managers. I'm now a senior business advisor, and my journey has been up and down all over the place. So, you know, if you limit yourself, try not to, because, you know, kōrero with others and say, well, what do you do? Where do you want to go? You know, there's other opportunities within the Ministry of Education. There's the usual, you know, online training that all of our agencies have that we can tap into. Yes, we have beyond diversity training workshops which our staff can attend, which talks about addressing racism within our agencies across the board. You know, te tiriti o waitangi, te reo classes. We have a waiataropu at the Ministry of Education, which is great because Māori Pasifika and everyone else ends up going up and having a bit of a sing-song. But we also use the waiataropu to awhi and tautoko our Secretary for Education, our ministers when we're required for any events that they are leading. So there are opportunities within all of our agencies, including ours, for our internship program. You know, there are things where they can learn about data assembly and project planning. Now, I may talk data, that is not me, I am business. So I am the person who recruits and writes contracts, but I can talk about the importance of numbers and how we use that evidence to inform our ministers, or even to look at, are we actually making a difference for our ākonga and our whānau? So, kia ora.
Kia ora, aroha mai e te whānau. We've just gone over time, and we just in the last couple of minutes, a flurry of questions have come through. But yeah, as you can see in the chat box, you can get in touch with our panelists via their websites, and also I can see Cara's added, you can add her on LinkedIn as well. But please feel free to ask those questions. Otherwise, we'll pose them to the panelists as well. But I'll just, on behalf of myself, TupuToa, and also Possible, just want to say whawhataite le lava, ngā mihi nui. Thank you so much to our panelists, Levi, Cara, Alita, and Linda, for being with us today and taking the time out of your day to share all the wonderful things that we could be doing at your workspaces. So I want to hand it back over to Taylor, but thank you so much again. Really appreciate your time today.
Kia ora. Awesome. I got pretty inspired from that session as well, and it's got nothing to do with me. So great learnings, and thanks everyone for jumping on the call. And yeah, massive shout out to Sapphira for running a awesome session.